The audio plugin is back and better than ever. Yeah, I know. A few days ago, I made the same statement. But at that point, I said that it had come with at the expense of some features, and those features have now been fixed. So now it truly is back and better than ever. So I'm going to recap the new features of the audio plugin, but to lure you into watching the whole thing, I'm going to tell you right now, if you want to avoid your audio library disappearing in a flash, watch till the end of this video, because at the end I'm going to discuss a common problem that users make that can make their audio library disappear in a flash. Okay, so let's talk audio plugin. So if we open up our Atmosphere settings here, you can see it looks just like it did before. Now previously we had said that when you use custom content, any custom audio files, you didn't need to apply to Game Board because it would apply those audio files right away. That is no longer the case. Now it works just like your core files, where you can select them here, but they won't be applied to board until you press the apply to game board. Similarly, the previous version did not support using the Atmosphere blocks. Those now work. So really your custom content is now working just like any of the core content. Now, in the latest version, or I guess this version and the previous version of audio plugin, the new feature was folders. So yes, our ambient and music now supports folders. And previously, you had the choice of either including all the core files or not including the core files. If you included the core files, they basically showed up in every folder. Well, that's also been fixed. Now there's a configuration where you can tell the plugin where you would like the core files to appear, and that's where they appear and nowhere else. So in my particular case here, I have mapped my core files into the effects folder here. So if I go into the effects folder, I can see that I've got my core files here. And if one is observant, they could say, ooh, bird chirping, that's not a core file. Yes, this folder happens to have a mix of core files and custom files. And with that, there's further settings. You can have, the folders will always appear at the top, and the default or silence will be the very top item to turn off your audio. But in terms of the core files and the custom files, you have three options. You can have the core files appear before all custom files. You can have the core files appear after the custom files, or the default, you can have the custom and core files mixed together alphabetically. So in this particular case, you can see that my core files and my custom files are being mixed alphabetically. So that's really it for the features. Let's jump over to the configuration to see what we have over there. So if I go to R2 Modman config, audio plugin, we can open up our config, and we'll see we've got the typical diagnostic level. The diagnostic level just determines how much information is put into the logs. Normally when you are running, you should probably have it on somewhere like info or warning error none, so that you don't put a lot of log messages into your logs. But if you are having problems with the plugin and are generating logs for the Discord server, you definitely want to switch over to Ultra before trying some of the functionality, so that the logs are highly detailed. Okay, but of more interest are these three settings over here. So, as we talked about, if you want to include the core files, you have three options. First, we'll place the core files before any custom files. Last will place the core files after all the custom files. And alphabetical, which is the default, mixes your core and custom files together in alphabetical order. Now, these two settings are where the core files will be placed. So you have one setting for the ambient core files and one for the music core files. If this specifies a folder that actually exists, whatever files, custom files you have there will get mixed in with the core based on whatever setting you have here, and they will appear there. If this points to a folder that doesn't exist, the plugin will virtually create that folder. So it will look like a folder when you're navigating through your folder selections, but there is no actual physical folder. It's just making it look like that, hence virtual. And as I said, you have that setting for the ambient core files and the music. By default, they're set to ambient core and music core. So basically, in your menu at the root, you'll see a folder called core, and you'll find them all in there. But you can change that to your heart's content. So those are the settings, and with that, you're basically ready to enjoy your audio plugin. Now, I did say that if you watched all the way to the end, I would give you a tip for making sure your audio library doesn't disappear in a flash. So let's discuss that, since you obviously stayed tuned to this video all the way to the end, or skipped there. So when a plugin is updated, what R2Modman does is it deletes the folder that the plugin was installed in, downloads the new version of the plugin, and then expands it, which creates that plugin folder all over again with the updated content. Now what that means is, if you have placed any kind of files into the plugin folder, such as audio files, when you update the plugin, all of that will be gone. It will disappear because the folder gets deleted and then gets recreated with the new plugin, but only the plugin content, none of the stuff that you put there manually. So if you are using packs from Thunderstore, you don't have a problem because the pack will be in a different folder. So if you update the audio plugin, it has no bearing on that other pack, it'll stay there. If that other pack is updated, again, no problem, because it's going to get deleted, the folder's going to get deleted, but then it's going to put all the audio files back there when it downloads your newer version. So in that particular case, you don't have a problem. The problem arises when you add in audio content yourself, not from a pack. In that case, you do not want to put it in any folder that is the folder of a plugin or a pack that's downloaded from Thunderstore, because if they get updated, all your manual stuff will be gone. So what is the convention? What should you do? Where should you put your audio files if you haven't downloaded them from Thunderstore? Well, the convention is to go to your plugin install folder. If you don't know how to get there, in R2Modman, you can hit your settings, locations, browse profile folder. When you open that, you'll have to go to Veponex plugins. Okay, this is your plugin install folder, not to be confused with the plugin cache folder, which is somewhere else, and you don't want to touch that. Okay, in the plugin install folder, there is one folder for each of the packs or plugins that you've downloaded from Thunderstore. You may, though, have additional folders here, such as I have local content here. Okay, so any of the folders that are associated with the plugin or a pack, you don't want to put your audio files there, because again, if the plugin gets updated, anything that you put in there manually will be gone. So the convention is to make a folder called local content in square brackets, and within that you want to create a custom data folder. You can also create instead of the custom data, you can call it assets, but the convention is custom data. Basically, if you have any Calpy custom minis inside that folder, when Calpy runs, it will rename your custom data folder to assets. But the convention normally is to make a custom data folder. I'm just letting you know that if you see assets instead, it's basically the same thing. And underneath the assets, normally if you're doing configuration files or other files for other plugins, you could put those anywhere in there or in subfolders. But the audio plugin requires a slightly more specific folder system. So underneath your assets or custom data, you need to create an audio folder, and in there ambient and music. These are basically the roots of those two pull downs that you see in the Atmosphere menu. So if I go into ambience, you can see I've got my effects and my sounds here. And if I go into music, I have my battle and tavern. Whatever folders you want to make here is totally up to you. The audio plugin is flexible, and it will just enumerate all of your folders here and your files within that. Okay, so now, because we're still in the plugins install folder, so plugins like the audio plugin can find this location, but because this folder is not associated with any plugin in particular, when any plugin is updated, this won't get touched, and that's why it's safe. Now, the convention is local content. That's what you'll see anytime on the Discord when somebody's telling you to put your configuration somewhere. That's the folder that's typically used. But you can name this something else. It's up to you. So if you really want to keep your local content separate from your audio files, you can, for example, go audio content instead. The square brackets are there so that these folders have priority over other folders. Basically, when plugins look through these folders for any kind of files, they look in alphabetical order. So anything that has like square brackets will show up alphabetically first, and that means those files will get found first. That's more important for configuration files. So like, for example, if you have the light plugin with a sample configuration, if you make a configuration, if you modified that configuration, if you put it into local content with square brackets, because it's alphabetically first, it's going to find that configuration file first. For audio files, it really doesn't matter. So that's pretty well it. Yeah, so basically don't put your audio files in any of the folders that are associated with the plugin or pack. Make a separate folder here, make a subfolder of custom data, and then put the audio, music, audio, ambient folders in there, and then throw your files there. They'll be safe. And now that you've learned that, go ahead, go hog wild, throw in all that awesome music, and enjoy the audio plugin. And that's about it.